You know, where he comes from, I really don't care. I want this guy at all costs.
That's when we found out that he was Enrique Iglesias.
They called me and they told me they wanted to introduce me someone quite secretly.
He had asked us not to make the negotiations that were happening public, not until he had made the decision to tell his father.
News travels very fast in the community, especially when your father is already someone that's very familiar with the press.
We decided to go somewhere where no one could know us and no one could tell anyone that we were making an album. And so we went to Canada. We went to Toronto.
And people didn't even know where the hell he was.
He was supposed to be in school.
The only person that knew was Elvira, his nanny. It was the person he would confide in.
It was easy for Enrique to get away with that, since his mom lived in Spain and his father was always traveling.
He came to the studio to record vocals.
Right away, I noticed he had a single idea in mind, was success.
He would say all the time at the studio that he was going to sell millions. And the producer, he would say, Enrique, hold on, it's not that simple.
My first feeling was that he had some technical problems in the developing of his voice.
He still had a few things that were a little rough as far as his singing.
I remember asking him to go to see a voice teacher. He was not very happy with the idea, but he did.
He will do whatever it takes to get there.
He puts that pressure upon himself to always be the best.
What my job was really is to introduce Enrique to the public now. This is the new guy. Enrique has never been in front of a camera before, never did anything. He's just a baby guy, and I have to handle him with kid gloves. It was a closed set. They wouldn't let anybody in because they weren't even sure he could even perform. And the first part of the shoot was the performance. I didn't have to do anything. He knew exactly how to portray the song. And I stopped within 15 seconds and said, "You kidding? This guy's unbelievable." He was just a heartthrob. He was more of a Frank Sinatra or something, or he was more of a Julio. He was just really passionate. But the B-roll with the girl was tough for him. And that was the part of really being an amateur of not knowing. There was a kissing scene a couple of times, and it was like he never kissed a girl before. That was a tough, tough part for him. He knew who he wanted to be, but he wasn't sure that it was going to come out onto the TV screen. After we did the first take, when he came over to look at himself, I think he was amazed himself to see that's who I really am.
The first single was released in September of '95.
A ballad's pretty tough to come out at first, especially coming from a kid. How many people are going to swallow this one?
Si tú te vas, te llevarás mi corazón.
The record company said we have to use Iglesias because he didn't want even to use it for the release of the album.
As a marketing strategy, it's a good point that he's Julio's son.
Then the company said, well, we are going to emphasize on Enrique, but we're going to put the Iglesias there, just in case.
The song went to #1. It was just an amazing smash.
Fans started going nuts and asking for the song on radio.
It was like 40 weeks at #1 in the Latin market. It was crazy.
All of a sudden, you know, he was huge in Latin America.
Hola, soy Enrique Iglesias y estoy aquí en la playa, Miami.
He did this TV show in Mexico City. Tons of fans were trying to get into the studio. The studio was already packed.
And the minute Enrique left the TV show, all of the audience started chasing him.
They surrounded the van, all the fans. For him, it was a little scary because they started rocking it.
There's people in the roof, there's girls on the side.
It was kind of extreme, but those girls were not leaving for nothing in the world.
And it went out of control, obviously. Nobody expected that.
The only way we made it back to the hotel was getting Enrique into a taxi and having him lie on the floor. When he got to his room, he stood outside his window on the balcony.
And Enrique is waving to this crowd.
Like a true politician. To have a first album that transcends into such an enormous success is unheard of.
I don't even think Enrique expected it to be that big.
That was a surprise to most people, including his father.
His father found out about it in the press and in the radio stations.
Enrique Iglesias hoy convertido en una superestrella.
Julio wasn't happy at first, and he was basically paying for college, and he's going to be a what? A musician?
And he was in shock. Are you sure you know what you're getting into? You know, this is ruthless. You know, this business is, you're hot today and gone tomorrow. And Enrique's like, I'm not going to be gone tomorrow. You know, his career spoke for himself.
And the best Latin pop performance is Enrique Iglesias for Enrique Iglesias.
He didn't expect this to happen.
I don't know how many stories you can tell about an artist that receives a Grammy for his first album, that half of the songs he wrote.
He's got great timing. He has great music. He's a good-looking guy. You know, it's in Iglesias.
When Enrique first came out with his album, it was always the media comparing him to his father.
People were on two sides. Those who thought it was great, and those who thought, oh, well, he's just taking advantage of his daddy's last name.
Some people wouldn't take him seriously.
Here's this hotshot comes in, sells 7 million copies. They have to talk bad about him. But he didn't care. He stayed focused.
He didn't want to be the son of Julio. He just wanted to be Enrique Iglesias.
I have my own music. I have my own style. Respect me for who I am, and that's it.
Next, Enrique bites off more than he can chew.
Enrique wanted to do an arena tour. And everyone's like, no way, you're a new artist. You can't do an arena tour. He's going to walk into this place with just Spanish music. It's unheard of. This is a train wreck ready to happen, you know?
Then, Enrique sets his sights on America.
Moving out of the Spanish market to the English market is a huge risk.
There was a risk that people in Spanish were going to feel abandoned.
And later, a bootleg tape threatens to destroy it all.
Somebody starts saying that they had a tape of Enrique singing the song Rhythm Divine, and it was awful.
All I need.
It's kind of like someone was questioning his manhood.
Log on to VH1.com to see early photos of Enrique at home and in the studio. Read news, listen to songs, buy CDs, and more.